So we're just going to wait a moment for everyone to get back in here. We have 10 participants. I think we had around 19. So once we give it just a minute before you explain your code, if you don't mind. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so essentially I just got the input first. I named it second input. And then I printed these two first, since you just need the input for this line, and then this one's just a text. And then I did an integer division here for hours, and then I got seconds remaining, and I did the mod of that. And then I did another integer division for seconds, and then I just did a mod since you don't need the seconds remaining anymore. And then I just printed those three out.
Perfect. So let me see something before you stop sharing. I want to make sure this is clear for everyone. So here, I like how you read it in as a variable second input, and of course you printed it, but you didn't change that second input on line 17. You called it something different, just in case you needed that original value for any reason. And you could have actually, here on line 19, you could have said seconds remaining equals seconds remaining mod 60. Interestingly enough, I don't think I saw any group using the augmented operators. And there weren't many places to really use it. The only place to use it would have been probably that one line right here, right? You could have said seconds remaining mod equals seconds remaining, but I would not have expected anyone to do that because this was like a new concept that we had just practiced. So nicely done. I asked y'all to share because I liked how I saw a lot of good code, but specifically I like how your code was spaced out. You put some visual spacing in there, which was nice and helpful always, not only for the viewer, but even for you, the programmer. It's a great job. Everyone got that correct? And yeah, let's continue. So where were we? Let's pull up. So we're done with this chapter, this module. If there's any little things that you have questions on, feel free to go through, read it over, and then ask me some questions. So now I want to cover something very important, which is in module 3, okay? And this is called formatted printing. And one day, that must have been horrible. I tried to mute my mic in time. I didn't get it. Pardon me. That's not fun to listen to. So one day, I'm going to, am I sharing my screen yet? No.
No, you're
I'm
not.
not sharing my screen. Sorry about that. Here we go. Pardon the cough, please. One day I'm going to modify that module and update it. I need to. I introduced formatted printing within module 3, and I don't like the way the publisher had introduced it, which is what I made those slides off originally. And I like the way that I'm about to explain to you formatted printing. So in theory, formatted printing is to be able to format our output. Okay, this is the goal of formatted printing, to be able to format our output. And we'll go through many examples of what I mean by this. But before we even get to the goal of formatting the output, I just want to show you why formatted printing, even if you don't use formats, you don't space it in special ways, why it's still valuable. Okay, so let me type that. The purpose of formatted printing is to format our output. However, even if we do not format our output, using formatted printing still makes things easier. What do I mean? Well, let's make some variables. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and D equals 4. I would like you all, with those 4 variables and their respective values, make a print statement that prints exactly the following. and so your print statement should print, and I'll put this in like maybe quotations so you can know what should print. It should print A equals 1, comma B equals 2, comma C equals 3, comma D equals D space equals 4. Okay, you need to make that print statement using the variables above. Of course, you can't just print this. Okay, you can't just do that. That would be a fail, because here you're not actually printing the value of what's inside A. Here you're hard coding the 1. What if A was not 1? What if it was 11, right? This needs to become 11. So I want you to print that statement. It might take you 2 minutes. We'll sit here. You know what? Even though it'll just take a moment, I want to go to breakout room so I can watch y'all. I want to be able to see what y'all are doing. I want you to print that. So type that statement up, that print statement as is, which is not obviously how I want you to print it. Type up that entire print statement with all those spaces with the commas. I want you to print the comma. I'll put and D equals 4. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and D equals 4. Type that exact statement up as is. Okay, which is obviously not how I want you to print. I want, and again, let's be clear, because if A were something other than 1, okay, what if A were 25? Well, this needs to be 25, right? So you need to make sure you're printing the actual variables, not just a string of one long string of text. So what this print statement's really going to be, when you do it correctly on the next line, it's going to be strings and commas and variables. A lot of strings, a lot of commas, a lot of variables, and it's going to get really nasty. Okay, so I want to go to the breakout rooms, and I want y'all, it should only take like 2 minutes, but I want to be able to come watch how you're doing this.
Hello?
Who's going to share? Can someone share?
Yeah, sure.
So actually put the value of A there, not just 1. Put A,
Oh, right, sorry.
comma A. Yep, and make this all
My
in
bad.
one big print statement. You're good.
God, this is gonna take a little.
Yep, it's gonna be nasty. So that's the whole purpose of this exercise.
Uh,
Nicely done. Already working?
Yeah, I did it while you were talking.
Okay. Make sure everyone else understands what you did. I'm gonna go visit another room. This should be quick. That's pretty nasty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So y'all are on the right track. You're almost done. I have one more room to visit. So great.
It's very ugly.
That looks like a lot of fun to do. Sarcasm intended. That's pretty nasty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
hate
go
it.
ahead and finish that. A is A, B is B. You need to put that in quotations. C equals.
Where?
No, you're good. Yes,
okay.
equals, close the quote right there. And put the quote before the and. Nope, before the and, because and's part of the string.
Oh.
Cool. I'm gonna bring everyone back to the main rooms.
You're muted.
Thank you. That was quick. All of y'all were on the right track, but it was nasty, right? Some of y'all had finished, or most had finished, but I don't even want to type it because y'all already saw it. So I'm not going to type it because it is horrible and it gets really ugly. So let me show you how formatted printing makes your life so much easier. if I want to print that line of text, okay, I'm going to, watch, so I'm going to say, now let's use formatted printing to show you how much easier this can be. So I'm going to type print. I'm just going to copy this entire line. And wherever I have a value that I want to print, such as I want to print that 1, and then I want to print the 2 and the 3 and the 4, wherever I have a variable that I want to actually print its value, I'm going to put 2 curly brackets like this. That's called a placeholder, okay? I put 2 curly brackets on each one of these values that I wanted to print. Okay, watch closely. So this is my new print statement. A is this, B is this, C is this. It's pretty clear. Now, how many sets of curly brackets, as y'all can read, it's clear. How many sets of curly brackets do you see?
4.
You see 4 sets of curly brackets. And so after your entire string, now what is a string? It's everything that's enclosed within those quotations. After your entire string, we type the following: dot format, and we put a new set of parentheses. And then inside this set of parentheses right here, inside this set of parentheses, is where I need to say what variables do I want to print in those placeholders. Well, what do I want to put in this leftmost placeholder? Clearly, I want to put A. And then next, I want to put B, and then C, and then D. And so let me talk about that briefly. Okay, so here I'm increasing the font size so you can see it. Here is our string. And you know in Python, if someone is using formatted printing, the 2 like signs of formatted printing are, well, you see placeholders. I call these placeholders, okay, the curly brackets. You see those inside a string of text. The other very clear sign of formatted printing is after the string, you see dot format. So if you see dot format, you should also see some placeholders, 1 or more placeholders, okay? So here, as you mentioned, within this string of text, we have 4 placeholders. That means that in this dot format, within those parentheses right there after the dot format, I should see 4 variables, okay? I should see 4 variables representing those 4 placeholders. And those variables should be in the same order that I want the placeholders to print in, right? So because I want A to come right here, the value of A I want to go there, well then A should be the first placeholder, right? And what do I want to come right here? I want that to be B's value. So then B should be the next placeholder, and so on. Give me a thumbs up in the participant window, please, if that fully makes sense with that very quick explanation. Yeah, I'm getting thumbs ups. Cool. So let's try another one. How about if I were to say name underscore first equals, sorry, I'm going to use one of your names. How about Leighton? Okay. And then name underscore last equals Norris. Leighton, I don't know your age, so I can just guess at it, or you can just tell me. I'm going to say 17.
16.
16. Cool. Y'all know what GPA is, right? That's the like your grade point average. I don't know if they do that in high school, but absolutely Leighton has a 4.0 and nothing less. 4.0 is max in high school, right? Or can you have better than 4.0? I don't want to offend anybody.
With honors, I guess. You can
Yeah,
have more,
For
but
like
it's
AP
like
classes.
let's
like AP classes
let's
5.
assume that 4.0 is the highest you can get. So Leighton
4
is
isn't.
just Leighton is a G and he has 4.0. Okay. So here we go. Ayub, I see a hand up. Do you have a question? Okay, so no question, I assume. So here we have all this information. And what else do I want to give one more piece of information about Leighton. You know what? How about Leighton? If you allow me, I want to be able to say, oh, I want to get a longer decimal. What would be something with a longer decimal? We have 4.0. And just for kicks, I'm going to include pi. Okay. I don't know why. I'm just including pi. Maybe Leighton likes the number pi. So pi equals 3.14159. We have those 5 pieces of information, and I would like to print out something like as follows. I want to be able to say Leighton's student information is as follows, or student record. So I want to be able to type this. You can see my screen, right? I want to be able to type the following. Student record. And notice even the spacing, 1, 2, 3 spaces, or 4 spaces. First name, Leighton. Last name, Norris. Age, 16. GPA, 4.0. And for some reason, we're printing pi, and you'll see why, 3.14159. Okay, I want to be able to print that using formatted printing. And you don't have to use Leighton's information. You can put your own information. So we have name, first name, last name, age, GPA, and pi. And here, just for heads up, when notice there's a different number of spaces on each one of these, you're going to manually put those spaces. But all of this that you see here in this line should be a single line, should be a single print statement using formatted printing. Okay, I see some chats. What is GPA? GPA is grade point average. Okay, so a GPA of 2.0 is like a C. 3.0 is a B, and a 4.0 is, perfect. You have aced everything with hundreds. Okay, so here I want to be able to print all of this using formatted printing. And let me put y'all into breakout rooms just again for 3-4 minutes. And I'm going to come visit your rooms and see how you do with this. And again, you don't have to use Leighton's information. You can use your own information. And maybe someone else try to share their screen this time, so we can have a different set of screen shares.
I'll share the screen. Can you see it? Yeah. So student record would be
Jonathan and Muddy, you can speak up if you see something that you want to just comment on anytime.
Oh yeah, you need to put the, what is it, quotation
no
marks.
quotations, right? Would I do name or first name?
Mariam, can you help out?
It looks good right now.
That looks good, Mariam?
Wait, let me see mine because I have mine all written down. Let me see. Oh, you need to have your, instead of the first name, you should be putting the curly brackets.
And then what? Help him out.
Yeah.
And then the dots on top of each other, so
And then what?
the colon.
Well, so remember, student record, I don't know if y'all had this typed up. Student record was just on the first line anyway. The next line is where you had first name and then last name. So you can actually erase, you can just hit backspace several times. Okay. You can put colon. No, not record. Keep writing student record. Okay. Colon, After the D quotation mark, put your close quote, close parenthesis, and then go to the next line for first name.
And then print again.
Yeah, absolutely. You have many print statements, but this is going to say first name. You need quotations, first name. And so here's where, Mariam, you were saying to do what? You said put the curly brackets. And
Yeah.
walk them through this. Curly brackets, then what?
Then,
Comma.
alright, I need to look at mine. So,
Or
Jonathan, Rebecca, feel free to chime in.
so I can see. So it would be the first name you got there, and then you would do the
The
closing of the
format. Yeah. Yeah, it's the close, not a
close quotes.
close.
Then you would do dot format.
format.
Uh,
Then do parentheses. Then do student, like student first name.
No,
First
well, it's
name,
whatever. It's whatever he called his name.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah, name first. Name first.
That'd be
So then we have to tab it.
So if you want those spaces to actually print, you need to put them inside the quotation. So you put the quotation at the beginning of the print statement, but then you put the spaces inside it. Yep, perfect.
Mm. It's like, where is it? There.
Perfect. I'll be back. I should make sure you're all on the right track.
I was just gonna copy this so I don't have to.
So who's sharing?
This is Musab.
Musab, can we hear you? I don't know what I'm looking at here.
Probably trying to get his mic unmuted.
But why does he show a different picture? Oh, maybe it's a screenshot.
Might be displaying the screen.
Musab, you got to tell us. Can you hear us? So I guess I should say only screen share if you can use your mic, because otherwise it makes it kind of challenging.
Well,
What just happened?
He stopped.
stop screen sharing.
Okay, cool.
Do-
Someone else,
Do you want me to
Yeah.
show mine?
please.
There we go. I didn't know if you wanted it one long or like this.
And who's talking?
Charles.
Yep. Nope, that's exactly what I wanted. Perfect. So I'm going to have you probably show this one as well when we get back to the main room. I think there's one more room I have not visited. So we'll see how they're doing.
think smartest person. You should also get smartest person. Meet namey name.
Cool. Y'all are done. I'm going to go back to the main room.
Alrighty.
We can't hear you.
you're muted.
Thank you. Charles Smith, can you share your screen? Just very briefly. And anyone open your mic if you have a question on that. I'm going to wait about 30 seconds. Question on what Charles is sharing. I am getting no questions. Okay. So fantastic. I'm going to stop your screen share, and I'm going to go back to my Thani and share my screen. So here, I don't want to type all of that up just to save time. So print, how about I'll type a couple of the lines. What was we had wanted, you know what? And let me show you how easy it can be. If you had already typed this, I will type it up, because watch. Yes. So here, I just copy pasted that. And now check how quick this can be. I'm going to put the print statements. I'm going to copy each of these. Let me come close each print statement. Okay, that's pretty quick. But of course, I don't want to print that directly. I want to put placeholders. And then on each of these lines, I need to put the dot format, right? Dot format. And then I'm going to put something there inside that parentheses. And what's the first one? This is going to be name first, name last, age, GPA, and pi. So here, we've introduced the topic of formatted printing. Uh-oh. I got to go through all of it just to get it. We've introduced the topic of formatted printing with using placeholders, but we're not actually doing formatting yet, which is okay. So let me show you where we can use some of the formatting. What if this pi, for example, what if we only wanted to print the first 2 decimals of pi? What I could have said here is I put a colon, and then I say 0.2f, and f stands for float. And when I run that again, got to enter all this other stuff. Notice now it says 3.14 instead of 3.14159. Let me give a better example, because that's not going to be the most clear use of the actual formatting. So let's actually format a number. So how about I'm going to say x equals, I'm going to give some big number that I'm just making up, dot, okay, there's x. And let's use formatted printing to print x. So here, I'm going to put a placeholder, and I'm going to say dot format x, okay? And I'm going to put this inside the garbage program so I don't have to run through everything. So here, if I just, uh-oh, I need to get x as well. So here, when I run this, I'm just printing it directly. Because if I'm just printing, if I'm not doing any formatting, you know, I may as well have just done that, right? I could have just printed x directly. So the value of using formatted printing is now, what if we want to actually format that output? And so it'll, just so it'll be very clear, I'm going to put hyphens on both sides of this. Okay, let me run it again. So here you see the number is within hyphens. So let me show you what we can do with formatted printing. If I type, I'm going to type the following, then I'm going to explain all of it. I'm going to say colon left 20.5 F. And let me run that. And let's understand what got printed and what this means. So we still see the dashes. So pay attention closely. We still see the dashes. But within these dashes, I now have 20 spaces. Okay, so I'm going to put some comments here. The colon says, the colon inside the curly brackets tells Python that formatting instructions are coming up. Okay, that's what the colon does. The left arrow means or instructs Python to left align the value. The 20.5F means print the value over a total of 20 spaces. Then there should be 5 digits after the decimal. And the F tells Python that the value printed is a float. That's a lot of information I typed. And just to make it easier to count, I'm going to change the 20 to a 10, and I'm going to change the 5 to a 3. And let's run this again. So watch. This 10.3, what does it mean? It says print it over a total of 10 spaces. So let's count that. I'm looking at my output screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let me just start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 total spaces were put between the hyphens. So that's why I put the hyphens, so you can actually visualize the spaces. Now, how many spaces are printed after the decimal? 3. 1, 2, 3. Which is exactly what we instructed. And then we said to left align it. So what if I copy line 3 and I paste it right here? And instead of doing left aligned, I do right aligned. Okay. Now do the same thing, but right aligned. So here we're able to format the output and make it be aligned to the right by putting this arrow facing right. You can also do centering. We can also center by taking this arrow and using Shift 6. That will center it. What if let's just change it up some. What if I want to do 0.1F? Okay, how about I say, let's center it. And let's do 0.1F. It makes 1 decimal. Clear? So in Python, when you're using formatted printing, you do not need to specify what is the type of the variable that's being printed. Like here, you notice inside the curly brackets, we didn't specify anything, okay? But I could have said :S. Can someone guess what S stands for? Unmute your mic and tell me.
String.
Absolutely. I could have said :S to tell Python, hey, print that over, print this, and what is it? It's a string. I could have done that, but I don't have to, okay? Because Python figures it out. But if you are going to use formatted printing, you do then need to tell Python, well, what is the type that I am printing? So in that case, it was a float. And we have 5 minutes left, I see, with this session. So let me see what comes next. Let me just very quickly, and you can come back to the video and watch this if you need. So come back to the garbage right here, which I'll copy this into the module notes afterwards. So here, finally, the other data types we can specify are as follows. So we have F means float. We can say S, which means string. And we can say D, which is horrible, because D means what? It means integer. You might say, why not I? Well, go look that up. You can Google search it yourself and see why. D does not mean decimal. It means integer. So if you wanted to specify that you're printing an integer, you could put D. So hypothetically, I could have, as I mentioned, I could have put here :S, here :S, here I could have put :D. For GPA, I could have said : 0.2F, and then pi 0.2. Notice I don't have to say 10.2. I don't need to say print over this many spaces. That's only if you want to put extra spaces, right? So if I don't put anything, this just says print the floating point number, but only put 2 decimals after, okay? And same thing I did for the GPA. So I could have done all of that, and that would have worked exactly the same, okay? So I copy this to here, and then run it. That would have worked exactly the same. But what if I change last name and I put D here, and then I try to run this? It's going to give me an error. It's going to say, hey, it's confused, and it says line number 37. So when I click here at the bottom and I click line 37, it highlights line 37 for me, so I don't have to look for it. And it says, you know, you're trying to print :D for an op, which is for an integer, but it says that it's a string. So it's kind of cryptic when you're first reading the errors. It takes time to get used to reading the errors that it tells you, but you should make sense of that. Is we're saying that I need to print an integer, but in fact, the value I'm saying to print is a string. So it gives you an error, okay? Or here, what if I say that this is a string for the age? So really, I'm printing an integer, but I'm telling Python, hey, heads up, I'm about to print a string. Python's going to say, excuse me, but you're telling me you want to print a string, but what you really have is an int, right? So if you don't need to do formatting, what's cool about Python, you may as well just leave it empty, so you don't accidentally cause errors, perhaps. But you use the formatting, you type stuff inside these placeholders when you specifically want to use formatting. I do need to cover in 2 minutes, because I don't want to start another session. The one final thing from these slides is so chapter 3, the replets from last week, I'm going to just reopen. You can still edit them even though it says past due, but no one likes to see past due. So I'll change them to make them due this coming Monday. And because there are some that you did not know how to do. And the only final thing that you need to use that we have not covered is this thing called seal that you can see right here in my, share screen. We have a minute and 20 seconds to cover this. So listen closely, buckle up. Seal. It is a math function that allows us to, so if I say, what is the seal? I'm out of time. Stop share. I'm trying to do this fast, and then computer doesn't want to cooperate with me. So here, if I want to say, what is the, am I sharing my screen? Nope, I'm not. Share. If I want to say, what is the seal of 4.2? If I rounded 4.2, you get 4. If I rounded 4.9, you get 5. But if you say, what is the seal? What that does, if you can look at my picture, ceiling says, look up to the next whole number above you. What is the ceiling of 4.9? It's 5. That's the next whole number above you. What is the ceiling of 4.2? It's 5. So sealing is very important. Look at the module 3 PDF and read about sealing very briefly. That's the only explanation you need, but go read it to make sure it's clear. And you need sealing to be able to solve the replets. There's like 5 more, and I'm going to open up 2 additional replets, and I will see y'all on